much of a format for this. I think we should just keep like our overall ratings towards the end. And I think this is the first official one we're even bothering with. So this is technically game 4, right? Game 4?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though it's only month 2. Month 1 we got really excited and went through 3 games.
We got real excited.
We ran through a bit.
We went through 3 games and only one of them we kind of liked. I guess that's not true. I guess we sort of liked Mad Max. I didn't.
Okay, anyway, like's a strong word. It's fine.
Okay, we didn't. I mean, I think we all rated it a negative, like, but I guess
I think we rated it 4 cans out of 8 bags.
I don't remember what our official stupid rating was. We played Kona, which is pretty good, but I think we all agreed that it felt like half of a game basically.
Yeah.
Super short, super telegraphed.
Yeah, and but like they had to rush some stuff.
Yeah, we actually did discuss that.
Yeah.
Like or we just got in a chat anyway.
Yeah. The first 3 we did off streams. And then game 3 was Rage, which I think we all kind of liked. I mean, I think we all, said it was dated and everything, which very much was. There was some annoying stuff, like how the game doesn't work if you don't put in like a very specific string of launch commands. Well, I like it alright.
Good thing to experience though.
Yeah. I mean, it is fairly old too. I say fairly old, but I guess it was when Rage came out. Older. I think it was 2012. Pretty old.
2011.
2011, yeah. Okay. But at least this time we have a game to talk about that kind of came out this year. Sorta.
You could say sure.
I mean, so this version of the game did come out this year.
Yeah, there you go.
The PC version of it did come out this year. I just died horribly right there. That's great. The PC version of the game did come out this year. At the very start of this year, I believe. Yeah.
By the way,
February 2017.
I had this guy like 1 hit away, but I got so greedy.
That's when the original game came out, right?
Yep. So yeah, early 2008.
Oh, I remember when I had to redo this fight. This got annoying.
I'm gonna pull up your stream so I can see what you're talking about here. Hold on.
This will be a good place to start. All right, so we'll just jump right into criticisms, and I'm just gonna jump into the thing that kind of annoyed me the most immediately, and it was really only 2 boss fights that did it. One of them is on the screen now when you refight her, and you actually end up refighting her like 800 fucking times. But my notes are actually on my other computer. It was when you fought the 2 bosses that kind of seemed like they were designed to be co-ops, which was Hino Inuma. It's Hino Inuma. And the Shima Sekon. So it was the vampire pirate boss chick who did all the spinny shit and kicked and stuff like that, since y'all probably don't remember names. And then the lightning spear bro, which I don't think Keegan's actually fought yet.
Was the first one in the cave? First one you're talking about?
Yeah, the one that you
Yeah,
co-opted immediately and didn't even bother trying to solo that one.
Yeah, well, Will scared me. He's like, she's real tough. I was like, okay.
She is.
Okay.
She's a slap in the face.
So I just got this like max level Tonfa guy.
But so that kind of leads me into this like a bit about how like there's a weird difficulty spike between several of the bosses that just seem like a couple of the bosses were just designed for co-op bullshit or just designed to be assholes in particular. Because
Yeah,
like
yeah.
outside of this boss and Shinma or whatever I said his name was, like there were only maybe 5 other bosses that took me more than a couple of tries. So like
Yeah, I've actually already figured this bird guy out. Like he's not even.
yeah, like
just need to
I
take
don't
him
I'm
out.
not even sure what I was talking about having trouble with that guy. I just walked around him in circles and spamming attack buttons. Like I didn't really have much trouble with him at all.
I don't know why I did it. Just something about him took me a little bit. I think it was the
That's fair. And it could just be like your weapon types or whatever. Like
sure.
but yeah, outside of this person, like the only other boss that comes to my head that like I immediately like got kind of annoyed with was the Frost chick.
Yeah,
Whose name I can't think of off the top of my head. She actually took me a few more tries than most of the other bosses in the game, but a majority of the bosses in the game, like I beat them in
God
probably 1 or 2 tries. But then you get to this boss, and then like the lightning spear bro, and those fights took me at least a dozen or so tries. I actually
Where they double up.
yeah, like the side missions where they double up are just real bad.
That took me a long time.
I didn't do the one that most people consider. Well, I didn't do the 2 that most people consider the hardest boss fights in the game, and then which are at the end, where you fight Oda Numinaga again, and you fight the Frost chick together, and then you fight Shinma and I think it was Mitsurugi together, and those 2 are. Yeah, when I saw that those existed, I was like, I'm just not even gonna bother to do these, because
Well, yeah, I mean,
not my
the-
style.
the worst thing about I mean, not the worst thing. The hardest thing about this game is fighting multiple people.
Yeah, yeah, and like
Like
when
if you're just fighting one dude,
and when
fine.
they give you multiple people that like kind of synergize in the same way that some of those fights make them synergize, like it gets even worse because like
Mm.
that Frost chick is rough by herself, but like you add Oda to the mix, and like it can definitely be really annoying. I don't remember if I actually win this fight. She's really low, but I feel like I don't win.
Or you?
Yeah, yeah.
Are you watching a recording or
Yeah,
something?
yeah, I just had one of my VODs playing.
I think it's worth mentioning that I'm not a
Done with the game?
veteran to this type of genre.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I guess. So, like,
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I don't think many of us are.
Yeah,
So like, I think this is just your very first one though of this kind of game,
oh, okay,
right? Because you haven't played anything like this
yeah.
before. Yeah.
Well, I mean, y'all play Dark Souls and stuff, right?
I've played a little bit of Dark Souls, and I've beaten Bloodborne, which Bloodborne is probably like, well, it's not even probably. My Bloodborne's definitely my favorite kind of game for this. Like, I think it's the perfect example of one of these styles of games. That's probably my major complaint about the game. My other kind of bit of criticism from this game over something like Dark Souls is that like this game is level based, so you don't have like a map. So the Dark Souls kind of world feels a bit more like a world than this game does because it's like an actual like fully fleshed out map, where in this game you're just playing through a few levels. It's hard to say like if I think that's like bad or not. It's definitely like different.
yeah, it definitely feels very different.
Like where I think the the strong suit of like the Dark Souls games and like Bloodborne and even something like Surge was that like they're all kind of like the newer take on Metroidvania games where there's like a lot of backtracking and that kind of stuff. Even Darksiders 3, I guess, does it kind of like that. Yeah, but like you don't get a lot of that in Nioh. Like once you finish a level, there's not much of a reason to go back to level unless you didn't collect all like the kodamas or something like that.
All about the Kodamas.
So, well, that's actually one of my complaints is that they reuse levels so often. Like the second the side missions were always just run back through this world.
Yeah, a lot of the side missions did use similar maps a couple of
Yeah.
different times.
Well, they weren't similar. They were identical.
There were sections of
They were
the
blocked off.
previous. Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't all like
Sometimes
that. I don't know if I would say that even the majority were, but like they did do it a lot. And I can do like I didn't bug me that much though. Like I can see how that can be kind of disappointing.
Well, it plays into another one of my criticisms, so I'll hit that later.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
One of the criticisms that I had is that so much of the content for leveling is based on the rev. So, like, the hardest fights I had in this game weren't the bosses most of the time. Like, with those few exceptions of those really super difficult ones, most of the hard fights I had were revenants that just got me in bad positions. And so, like, in a game like this where I fight revenants most of the time and I backtrack a lot, it starts to feel really like the game isn't even the worst. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's funny because the revenants are one of the most 100% optional things. Like you're mostly just doing it to get a
Gear.
gear set or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but the gear's not optional. Like once I got gear with gear sets and the right kind of gear sets, like things got significant.
Right. Well, the revenants are still pretty optional. Like I barely touched them like through my playthrough. Like I hardly fought them at all. Like
same.
maybe like a few of the levels towards the end. I think really the last two levels is where I like actually just focused on like maybe killing a few more revenants than I would have. But mostly I just completely ignored them. Hey Steven. So it is kind of interesting. Because if you did focus down on those, like I can definitely see that being kind of annoying if they're all in weird spots. The salt was real. On this particular fight, the salt was very real, Steven.
Well, and it wasn't just like so much the spots as like if you fought all the revenants, like that took hours
Forever.
to
Yeah.
get through the level.
I don't like.
And that was just.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's hard for me to blame them on that because I don't think you're really supposed to do that. You just kind of chose to, if that makes sense.
That's fair.
I mean, I definitely understand that it like that kind of frustration, but because if you die, they all come back too.
Right. So like trying to clear a level is hard if you're trying to totally clear it when they come back pretty frequently. So I mean, it's not bad, and it definitely wouldn't be something that like I wouldn't play again because of that. But
it was
when
annoying.
you're going through and you're fighting like the 40th revenant, you're just like, please let me just finish this. And then you do the same level again in a side mission with the revenants all back. So I mean, definitely a problem with the way I played it, but it definitely got frustrating after a while.
I mean, fair enough.
I think the revenants, what you talked about, like touched on something that I didn't like about this game, and that's the almost Diablo 3 type loot that it's like candy, and it's almost to the point where the loot is overwhelming. Yeah, I understand you use it to soul match and you upgrade and you sell it for souls and all that other fun stuff, but it just seems like almost tedious level of overwhelming amount of loot for a souls type game,
No, that's actually really fair. One of the I didn't really think about it either until you mentioned it, but one of the kind of let me start that over. In the first two regions, I think I almost completely ignored loot, and like I'd never really bothered with the loot until like I finished a level, because you do get an insane amount of it. You just get all kinds of shit thrown at you. And like a lot of the stuff, and a lot of the stuff like that they throw at you don't have the stats very well explained. I think it was me and Isla that were talking about this the other day, where like there was a piece of item that said like and it was scrolling and it said something like close combat, critical hit damage scaling or some shit, and then like had a grade. And like you can hover over it and it just kind of repeated itself. Like it just kind of didn't give you a very good description of what the fuck that meant. Like and there's a lot of stuff that was like that, and there was a lot of like it was kind of half and half because some of the stuff that they had on there makes sense. Like, there's life plus 40 is really obvious, right? Where like close damage ability skill hammer man D-. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Like,
Yeah, I
you
would
can make
like
a
actual values rather than just grade levels there.
well, like, I don't mind the grade levels so much. Actual values I prefer more, to be fair. But like when like with what it does is so vague, and it doesn't do a good job of like explaining what all of that stuff means.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sometimes you get a thing that would say like something 5%, and you'd read the tooltip, and it's like gives you unlimited life or something like that, unlimited 2%. And if you look at it, you're like, you'll never run out of key, but it's a percentage, so it's only like 2%. But it never explained how that percentage factors into any kind of equation.
Yeah.
So I'm watching you finish this boss off here,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm wondering why you never quote unquote ulted. I guess I'm just sort of wondering. Like, there was one time that she was completely out of key, and she was like at half health, and you could have popped your.
I honestly forgot to do that a lot. Like, I just left that up a
Yeah.
lot and just forgot to do it because it's not something I'm used to having in these kinds of games. So I didn't think about it. But no, there's a lot of times where you can see me go through bosses and like I'll still have that stupid thing up.
Yeah. Once I actually figured out that ults are kind of strong,
Yeah, the
I
ults are
try to
really
use
strong.
them whenever I can.
Towards the later part of the game, I kind of started using it more often because I like got used to it being there. But yeah, there's a lot of times where like I probably would have been easier to kill her had I actually used it.
Yeah, I mean, usually I waited till if I would try to learn a boss, I wouldn't bust right out of the thing, but I'd wait to get to like 15-20%.
I sat here
like,
for a minute because I looked up what this item was.
um, set there for 15-20, like wait till
What
you
the
get
fuck?
15-20%, and then just open it up and finish her off. I guess we sort of touched on it, but we didn't really go too far into it. Was the fact that I think that the opening bosses were either that we were not prepared for them, or we weren't used to them, or they were some of the hardest bosses in the.
Oh yeah, because we had talked about this, how like
Yep.
the hardest bosses in the game felt like the first handful of bosses, and then
Yeah.
everything else kind of felt like a joke, excluding Derek the Executioner, because fuck him.
Let's exclude. We're talking post London. Like,
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
couldn't get post London, then I don't know, take the game back. But like, this is not your game if you can't get past London. Uh, but no, it just seems like, I mean, they're just very punishing off the bat. Like you're fighting that, like the first boss, you're fighting that huge ass guy
That
with
tiny ass
the
fucking room.
yeah, tiny ass room where his hitbox and his move range is
His
literally
balls take up
3/4
half
of
the
the room.
room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's coming back in Nioh 2 with 3 balls, right? That's coming.
Is
And
that
then you've got.
is that like a legitimate thing? Or are you joking?
I'm joking.
Oh, okay.
But
Because
they
you could tell
reused
me
him
that, and
enough
I would believe. Yeah, you fought him like 8 or 9 times.
Yeah, they reused him enough that you're like, well, I bet you we'll see him again. But no, then you had the pirate chick that it's just like was insanely difficult for the second boss. It was
Yeah.
very punishing. I think you're right that it's like, hey, this is where you need to learn how to co-op and stuff like that. But wow, is there a lot to learn off of it?
Yeah. Like, I kind of, like we were talking before, like it does kind of seem like maybe those first, like, especially the first 3 bosses were kind of like tutorials, because like the first boss is probably trying to teach you that you need to dodge shit, because like you can't really block anything he throws at you because it takes all your stamina every time you block him. And then the second boss is probably teaching you probably trying to teach you that, hey, you should probably co-op some stuff, or like consider that an option.
Or resistances.
Yeah,
like,
or resistances.
her paralyze.
Yeah. And then the third boss is probably trying to teach you that bosses have weaknesses, kind of deal, and like you need to pay attention to the like weaknesses and stuff, and weak points too, to an extent.
I think you're talking about the fourth boss, because the third boss, well, they had the
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 centipede. I
tiger.
forgot about the centipede. Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, because the third boss was the guy at the end of the tomb. So you did the
the
little mini lion boss with the lightning, who was irritating, and then you did that. And then
Oh
you did the
yeah, no, you're
stampede.
right. So I'm talking about the Umibozu, the giant
Lightning
slime.
boss.
Yeah, the big blob, right?
Yeah.
So one thing I will say that's really cool about these games, I don't know if it's just Nioh in particular or the Dark Souls genre, but they help you develop a sense of like accomplishment. Of course, it's really difficult, but
Mhm.
like you're learning, and like you said, that lightning cat boss, I mean, he was really difficult for me at first, and I actually had to cheese him, but then I ran into him as just like regular bloke in a different level, and I was able to just, I mean, just go crazy on the guy because I had understood the mechanics at that point and how my character worked, that I knew enough to make it real easy on myself. And so it does a really good job of, like, I mean, it's gonna hurt, it's gonna punish you a lot, but if you learn how to use your character and you learn how the enemies operate and how they move, that type of thing, I mean, you really feel like a master of the game,
Yeah, like it's
even if
actually
you still die.
it's actually funny that you say that, because like that's a lot of the draw kind of to the series. Like after you kind of get over like the fact that you're gonna get your ass kicked a little bit, like kind of the draw is like the rush of beating that asshole that took you forever to beat before, and like that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Like that's one of the big appeals for the whole series. Like sure, it's really rough, but like when you kill the thing that was really hard, like suddenly you feel like Billy Badass over here.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. Like Nioh does a really good job of it as well. Dark Souls and Bloodborne, they also do a really good job of it.
One thing I do like about Nioh over the other Dark Souls games, including Bloodborne, which is by far my favorite of the Souls games, is that on top of the weapons having their own unique move set, that you can customize your move set based on the scrolls that you've unlocked.
Mhm.
So you sort of have different finishers in your combos and whatever.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It seemed like kind of an unfinished system to me a little bit. Because in a lot of the places there was only, well, this is for the axe in particular, I'll say actually. So maybe this is just with the axe, but like a lot of times there was only really one option for like your hold Y option or something like that for like heavy attacks and that kind of stuff. But like
I had that with Yodachi too.
yeah, it is a cool system for these kind of games that like other games that like this I played don't necessarily have. So I can definitely agree with that. Like the whole combo system is pretty cool. It's very Team Ninja too. Like if you look back at some of their older games.
Um, no, I think they did a great job. Like Team Ninja, is used to the Ninja Gaiden, which is sort of over the top, flipping over here, bouncing between ads. This seemed pretty slow and steady, but
Mhm.
good and reactive for the most part. Like I never felt like my character wasn't reacting the way I expected it to.
Yeah. The controls still and everything did still feel really, really tight. Like I don't really have much of a complaint about like the combat system or the controls in general. Um, and nothing even felt particularly cheesy except for like I think those two bosses that I mentioned that were really frustrating.
And the
Well,
bosses did a good job telegraphing their moves appropriately.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I guess the bats were kind of cheesy, but like they eventually stopped doing that so much. But like the pirate cave level with the bats, where they immediately put one at like the very front to knock you off the side and just be real douchebags. That was a bit
you.
that was a bit of a fuck you to the player, but
I have to tell you, the first time I played this game, because this is the second time I played this game, but the first time I played this game, I dreaded running into Oni. Oni seemed to be like every other mob in the game was like pretty easy, and then you run across your first Oni, and you're like, what the hell? This guy's just spanking me around the corner, like.
because it's you run into one of those big ogres on the beach level, right?
Yeah.
And he's just like beats your ass.
Well, and then after you clear that big ogre guy, you eventually run into one on the rooftops. You're like, I needed like half a level to move around and dodge this guy. Why are
Yeah, that one actually took me a little bit too. I remember that one.
it was a big wake up in the face. Like, oh, okay. Well, what am I supposed to do with this guy?
I like how they
think
introduced new Oni too, because they always introduced them in side missions first before they threw them at you in main missions. So like if you were completing a main mission and then doing the side missions, like you always kind of got insight on the new Oni before you did the next main mission, which I thought was a really good way of doing that.
Snakehead Onis. Ugh.
Was that the tongue guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those guys are rough when
Yeah.
they first like were introduced.
Yeah.
Did any of us play one of the magic, like focus on magic?
I
I
didn't.
mean, I used it for some debuffs, but did anybody like focus on like pure magic combat?
I didn't.
Man,
I didn't at all.
it's too slow.
I use debuffs and stuff. Yeah. Apparently, that's how you cheese the game out though, because like there's some combinations of debuffs and magic stuff you can do that can just like one shot some bosses.
I picked up Sloth. That's a
Yeah,
good one.
sloth and reduce
Helped me beat the
and
ninja
weekend
lady.
Yeah.
were just like it was a good combo. Like
I think you were about to. Were you going to say something else, Will?
No. Or I forgot what it was. Oh, no, I was going to say, I think overall, they did a really good job at kind of giving you a power curve. Because, like, you guys were talking about, you were understanding your character and stuff better. So, like, at one point, I think you're fighting at least 2 of the first bosses at the same time. And it's not bad because your gear is better, your power is better, and you know how to play is better. So, like,
Yeah.
I think they managed that curve really well. There wasn't really any time that I was playing and I was like, man, this is just so much ridiculously harder than everything.
Yeah, that's fair. There were a couple times where like the side missions ended up kind of being boss rushes, not boss rushes, like Oni rushes, where you fought a bunch of Oni at once.
mhm.
And those actually ended up being pretty fun. Where at one point some of those Onis were just too hard to handle, like on their own. So
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Uh,
definitely think the replayability lies in the fact that there's so many weapon types. So I mean, you can
Mhm.
totally start over with a new character and do a new weapon. And it's not a completely different game, but you know, you still have to learn your character.
yeah, and like this, I think game does go up to like New Game Plus like 6 or 8 or something like that. So
I haven't looked.
uh,
One positive for this game over the Soulsborne game is I actually understood the story without doing hours of research outside
uh,
and reading and
yeah,
everything.
I was about to start talking about the story a little bit. Yeah, they do a pretty good job of being pretty overt about it, which I definitely prefer over the way that like Darksiders and stuff does it. Bloodborne does it a little bit better than Darksiders does, but they still don't give you everything. This game it's not very subtle. You get the story as you're going on, especially if you also do all the side missions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't like a super riveting story or anything like that.
No.
But like when you do finally beat Kelly at the end, man, that felt good because that fucker had it coming.
Good old Kelly.
That fucker had it coming.
Okay, man.
I guess it was enough of a story. I mean, it didn't have to be that deep, but it was enough to give you purpose to keep going.
Mhm.
Where, like, you know, as much as I said I love the game, Bloodborne is just like, all right, I just want to kill the next boss. I really don't understand why I'm doing here, or what's going on. But okay, I'm just gonna keep killing things.
Yeah.
Oh, so there was a story.
Classic
game, this game?
Keegan. Keegan ignored the story, or probably just wasn't paying attention. Did you skip cutscenes, Keegan?
No.
Okay.
I don't remember them. There were cutscenes.
Yeah.
I like this axe you're using. It makes me want to play an axe character.
The
It's
axe,
pretty,
I liked the axe a lot. It was really fun. This was actually a really annoying level to fight through because I was trying to like get everything. So like a lot of times I just ran through the middle of this battlefield and just get wrecked.
I do like the Battlefield levels where you're dodging waves of arrows. Adds a little bit more urgency to your combat. They did a good job on the detail of the armor too.
Yeah, like I think like I actually liked the level design a lot for the most part. Like I think it was all really cool, and like how they did the level layouts were really cool. I know I kind of bashed on them for doing it in a level format, but like it kind of played to their strengths too. Like this is they know how to do levels like this, so that's cool. And then like the graphics and everything I thought were like really nice. Like the armor is all really detailed and the terrains are all really detailed. Like I think we didn't run into very many like graphical glitches or anything like that. Granted, we are playing the game like 2 years after its initial release.
Yeah, I didn't have any problem.
Yeah, and it looks really nice. So
There, you're just like leaving loot behind because you're like, I had too much of it.
no, I just had a man I need to kill. You got to kill all the mans.
Did you end up getting like a charge attack where you could just, I mean, you're walking up behind some dudes and just holding the attack forever, and he slams it on the ground.
Yeah. I with axes you actually get 2 of those. You get the one I just did on my screen right there, and then you get one like where you just like slam it into the ground and it does an AoE around you. But they're all they take forever to like get out. And like the axes are all kind of like that. Like all the big heavy axe moves they all have really long animations. But you hit hard.
Yeah.
Hit hard. Open interpretation. Yeah. I mean that's fair, Steven. The open so Steven commented in the Twitch chat that he prefers the way Dark Souls and Bloodborne do it for the story because it's open interpretation. I mean that's a pretty like that's a way to look at it, and like fair because it kind of lets a lot of the lore be like kind of vague, and it also leaves it open to like there's a lot of lore there even to sift through and stuff. I don't know if y'all have heard of like Vadi video or anything like that on YouTube, but like Vadi goes through and like he makes videos about the lore for Dark Souls, and I think he did Bloodborne. He may have even done Nioh too. He does like lore for a lot of these games, and like he'll pick a certain section and make a video about it, and like it can be something really small, but it's still going to be like a 30-minute video because they get really in depth with the stuff. So it's a fair point.
That's cool.
I think I still prefer like it a little bit more streamlined to me, because a lot of times I play single player games for the story, so these guys are giving me a hard time. I think that was most.
I don't think of any of their complaints about that. Just said too much loot, and the first couple bosses were real slaps in the face.
Yeah.
Some of the hitboxes were a little off.
That's
some of the moves hitboxes.
That's fair. Grab moves in particular, I think, is what I talked about. Where like grab moves have really big hitboxes on you. Where like you're not in anywhere in the vicinity, like you're not even in the same zip code of as the grab move, but like it still hits you. Yeah.
I had trouble seeing some of the moves, like if you like slam down on the ground or something and then you like dodged into the side of them, you took full.
Oh yeah. So some of those,
which, in a game like this that's real precise, that feels real
weird
bad when that happens.
I don't know about y'all, but that frog dude's spear was just all over the place.
Yeah.
I didn't have much trouble with the frog dude.
I had to get behind him. Like, once you learn that you can get behind him, it's fine.
Oh. If you don't like auto target, don't play Darksiders 3. Lol.
Well, like, the spear attacks, even like with the remnants and stuff, like they'll lunge in a direction, but they'll change directions as they're lunging. Which
And that one lady did it. That was the crying one with the long fingernail.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
type
ogress.
thing.
The ogress. Yeah.
Yeah.
she did it a bunch.
What did you guys think of the key system? Where you could use it to recharge your stuff
Oh, you
quickly.
mean stamina active reload?
Yeah.
I actually really liked it.
Once I got used to
Yeah, once you have to kind of get used to it. I kind of started off ignoring it a bit and treating it as any other stamina system, but once I kind of started actually like hitting the button to reload my stamina, it was pretty cool. I liked it a lot. It made combat a little bit faster. It made it so you didn't like get staggered as much and feel awful because of it.
or just stand there waiting for your stamina.
Well, especially if you're fighting Oni and they put down one of those circles.
Yeah.
I did that a lot. I did that a lot when I first started with the Odachi. Like I'd hit him a bunch and then I'd just stand there.
Yeah,
like,
you kind of do that with the axe as well, because the axe is a bit of a stamina hog too. And with my build, I didn't put any points into heart at all. So like I ended the game with the same amount of stamina as I started with, basically. So yeah,
it was the one good thing.
You get 1 point in there. It's got 101.
Oh, it's probably from a piece of gear or something.
One good thing about going with regular sword is you just put it all into heart. Then you have all the ki you want. You just have to wear light armor though.
Yeah. I want to be
like
a big bulky boy.
Yeah, you had a hella health at the end there.
Yeah.
I started with heavy armor, but I switched to light about 2/3 through.
I think I ended the game with like 3,500 HP or something like that.
Jeez.
Yeah, dude.
It's the best part of these games is they can be played so many different ways.
Yeah. Let's see.
Hey, got the sword dude. I don't know what to call him.
It's your boy.
It's your boy, the sword dude.
Okay. Trying to think. I think we covered our bases mostly. Was there anything else anyone else wanted to mention? Or we talked about how our final feelings about the game? Okay. Well, I actually really fucking love the game. Like, I thought it was really solid. Like, I quite enjoyed it. That beyond its frustrations, I had a lot of fun with it.
Same. I give it 5 turductans out of a potato.
Oh man, that's a high score right there.
Right? I mean, call all the big shots.
I give it 4 pecan pies from Thanksgiving dinner. 4 whole pecan pies from Thanksgiving dinner, made by your grandma. You know, like the good-ish.
It's your grands.
You good-ish. It's your grands. But yeah, no, it was really, really good. Like when I go and review it on Steam, I'm definitely gonna give it high praise. I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too.
I didn't play the port, but it looks like watching your stuff. I watched your videos and stuff like that. That the port was really good. I played the original. I played it on PS4. So slight differences.
Yeah.
But
there were a couple menu problems with the port, but other than that, I didn't really encounter any problems. Other than a couple of the menus were difficult to get around.
I didn't have that. Did we all play on controller? Because I played on controller.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Well, I tried mouse first.
Did you hate your life or something? were you like, were you punishing
No,
yourself?
Will likes to be really stubborn when we tell him to use a controller for games, and he's like, "Well, I'm gonna go for it with mouse and keyboard first," and then eventually he caves to the proper way to play the game.
I still play Rocket League with mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, wait.
Although I'm playing Darksiders with mouse and keyboard. It's not bad.
The game or mouse and keyboard? That's a different discussion. Anyways.
Yeah, different. We're not reviewing that.
Yeah. Yeah, to get back on topic. Yeah, I liked it a lot. Like, my complaints about the game, even though, like, with any game, like, we kind of have a few, but like they don't overshadow like all the good stuff in the game. It was very enjoyable to play.
I'm really hyped for the sequel. Like when they announced at E3, I think that was one of the highlights for me. Like because the game it's a solid production. Like story wise, tight controls. As I said, my only complaint is like too much loot. I hate having to manage it. That's why I didn't like Mass Effect 1 so much. Just overabundance of loot.
Yeah.
But no, I think it was good.
I
And
guess I
it's
didn't.
nothing about playing samurais.
I guess I didn't mind the loot too much. The only part about the loot that annoyed me, like I was talking about, is like how they didn't talk about the stats as much as like they didn't explain them as much as they should.
Yeah, once I got my system for getting rid of it down, it wasn't bad. Every game should have a junk button though, where you can just go in and sell all junk.
It does.
No,
Sort of.
yeah, he knew it
It has
does.
a check all.
Yeah, check all.
Well, yes, but you can't check it as. So like I like games where I can like pick it up, I check it, it's junk. I just junk like 3 or 4 pieces at a time rather than spending 20 minutes in the match to go through all 25,000.
See, I don't look at loot as I pick it up. I've never done that. I always look at it like the end of whatever I'm doing.
I only looked at it if it was a piece of the set I was working on.
Fair enough.
Set pieces and then the trinkets were the two things that I always checked because I was like, is this going to give me a resist that I need coming up? Because I don't know.
I did not use those trinkets nearly as much as I should have.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Okay. Well, to get us back on track.
Yay, we liked the game.
Yay!
Good game,
It took. Well, we liked Rage. I liked Rage. Rage was good, but this game was really good too. I'm glad we all liked it. So I think that's a thumbs up from everybody for Nioh. We had a lot of fun. So that was November. We've already rolled our game for December. It's Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
Thanks for telling us after the sale's over, by the way.
I told you on Monday the sale was not over yet.
Yep.
I don't read your Discord every day.
You do. Don't lie to me. You were in Discord on Monday.
Was I? I just didn't check the section.
Anyways, you fuck this fuck knuckle over here. So if anyone wants to play with us, I guess Will's not gonna be around the 31st. I wonder when we should do the podcast for. I think I get killed here.
Probably second or third.
I wonder when we do the podcast for this.
Pushing it to like the next week, or you guys can just do it without.
We could just do it on the 31st or the 30th.
Because I won't be back till like the 7th or
8th. Yeah, we probably shouldn't wait that long. We might just have to do it without you. Or we could do it the week. I'll
be flying back into town on the 31st. So.
Okay, so you'd prefer we do it on like the 2nd?
First or second, yeah, whatever. We could do a New Year's Eve or New Year's Day review.
Sure, that's fine. All right, so we'll schedule the actual talk about Blade for the 1st. That's fine.
Seems like it's gonna be a short game, which is good for December.
Yeah. I die here again. Yeah. So it's linked in the Discord. The Discord is linked in my stream very poorly. Here, I'll just do this. That's the Discord. It's in there. There's a link to the game. It's only about 10 hours long, according to most things I look at, 10 to 12-ish, so it shouldn't take us that long. Maybe Keegan will actually finish it. Oh! Just kidding. You don't have to finish Nioh if you don't want to, but you're pretty close to the end, so I recommend finishing it because it was really good.
Oh, yeah, I'll eventually finish it.
You're opting for the runaway strategy.
Yeah. Well, like I accidentally aggroed like 1 million people here, so I think
that's when you take a hit and then you pull back, they take another hit. Oh, you're doing charge attacks. Good strat. Good strat.
See, with the Adachi, I would go to medium stance and just do broad swings that are just vertical and stagger most of them, like 2 of those and then dodge out, 2 and dodge.
I just ran away.
you like,
And so
I
like
have regrets.
I run back and I'm trying to pull them apart because like I hate fighting enemies in these kind of games is like in groups like that. So like I always try to pull apart, which is actually another good thing about this game because they actually give you several ranged options where you know, you can bow and shoot people and all that kind of stuff, and like you can even chunk
Never had enough ammo.
You can even,
Never had enough ammo.
you can even chunk rocks at people in order to like pull them apart and stuff. I like that a lot.
Dizzy, no spoilers.
It is spoiling thing. Like,
I'm teasing Dizzy.
okay. Well, I think that's everything. I'm actually really hungry, so I'm probably gonna go eat something. I don't think I'm gonna stream any tonight.